Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I want to explore a game that just launched off Steam, and that is Warface. When I first learned about this title a couple of years ago, I thought it had a lot of promise. It's made by Crytek, the same guys that brought us the Crysis franchise, and so I thought that the graphics from Crysis, being some of the best on the market, were going to transfer on over into this free-to-play first-person shooter. It's got a class-based system, so I thought that there was going to be some cool class dynamics, something that we would see in the Battlefield franchise, and they also have some really cool team-oriented gameplay or mechanics where you need to lift your fellow soldiers up to get to higher places. There's also a down state where there's a couple of grenades that will cause your fellow buddies to fall to the ground, and so you need to help them back up onto their feet. And there's some really cool ideas here, but what we get, and maybe this is just simply because this is a beta right now, they have said that this is a beta, it was probably one of the worst first-person shooters that I've played in a very, very long time. First of all, their map design is laughable. Like, it was clear that they were going for a Call of Duty type of gameplay. Everything was going to be very centralized, everything was going to be very fast-paced, so there wasn't going to be a lot of time where you're just running around not finding any action. And while I respect that, I have no problem with that type of gameplay. I enjoy playing Call of Duty every once in a while. It's not my cup of tea, but I can respect that type of combat. But the way that they've gone about designing these maps is terrible. First of all, they are way smaller than Call of Duty, where I'm talking it can take you maybe 20 seconds to get one side of the map to the other. And they've also designed the spawn system where you only spawn in one location. Not where your team spawns on one side of the map with multiple spawn rooms. No, you have one spawn room and that is it. And so if the enemy team is curb stomping you and they're dominating you, they can rush your spawn room and camp you all game long. I had one round where one guy on the enemy team, and maybe it's just simply because he was awesome and he had the best weapons or something, I don't know what was going on, but he went like 50-2, and my team was in the negative, like way in the negative. And once again, maybe he was just, a kick ass, but it got to the point where he was just circling around our spawn room, killing anyone that moved, and there was literally nothing we could do. So the map design on almost all of the maps was just awful. Another large issue that I have with the title is the way that they've set up their payment plan and the way that you unlock new weapons. I don't know why this is the case for free-to-play first-person shooters. I don't see this for things like League of Legends or other, MOBA-style games. Maybe I just haven't played them and they're out there. But free-to-play first-person shooters, they have this system where they let you unlock a weapon for like 14 days, and it costs a lot of in-game currency to unlock those guns for 14 days, but you can't unlock them permanently unless you spend like an arm and a leg and an incredible amount of time in-game. And essentially the sense that I got during my play session is that while it is possible to do reasonably well going down the free-to-play path, they almost made it abundantly clear that they really wanted people to invest in the title and spend their real-world money to unlock these weapons, to unlock these equipment, so that you would have a leg up on the competition. And while I understand that people need to invest in a free-to-play game for them to pay their developers, like they need to pay their bills, but if it almost feels mandatory for someone who's new to the game to start spending money right away so that they can enjoy the title and they can actually compete against everyone else, in my opinion, something is very wrong with that free-to-play game. The best example of that I can think of is that there's a helmet that you can buy that not only allows you to see enemy claymores and explosive devices that are around the corner, but it also negates one headshot for you. And so if an enemy sniper goes for a headshot on you, I think he doesn't get it because you're wearing this nifty helmet. How broken is that? Like, how ridiculous or pay to win is that type of system where you can spend money on a helmet that negates one headshot? Like, I don't know how long it would take you to unlock that normally going down the free-to-play route, but even if it takes you only like 6 to 7 hours to do it, you're going against people that have this right out the start. Like, come on, like really, this is a blatant pay-to-win mechanic, and it really detracts from the experience. As for the gameplay and the meats and potatoes of Warface, overall, I would say it's average or below average. Like, there is a class system, so if you've played the Battlefield franchise, you will feel right at home. But because a lot of these maps are so small and the action is so incredibly fast-paced, there was never a time where I felt like anyone was really working as a team using their class abilities. Like, the Assault class, for example, can give ammo, but because the map is so small and everyone is dying so quickly, there was never a time where I ever ran out of ammunition. And no one on my team was ever running out of ammunition because everyone was dying every couple of seconds. Maybe it's it's a lot better in co-op. Admittedly, I did not play any of the co-op because that's not really what I'm looking in a first-person shooter, but maybe the class dynamic works a hell of a lot better in there because the AI isn't going to be able to kill your squad immediately, and you'll actually be able to use the different strengths and weaknesses of your class. But at least when I was playing team deathmatch or even deathmatch where you can't even work with your teammates because it's you against the world, it's like, sure, it's cool that there is different classes and they have their strengths and weaknesses, but it didn't seem like it was enhancing the gameplay. Not only that, but when you get into a firefight with someone, not only is the weapon and the movement sluggish, like half the time I felt like I was running through molasses, but also the UI is incredibly obtrusive. You guys have probably noticed throughout my play session that every single time I try to kill someone, this bright red X pops up on my screen and blocks half of my view. And I get what they were going for. That bright red X fills up as you shoot at them, so it lets you know how quickly you're about to kill your enemy so that you can switch on over to the next guy that's right next to them so that you can switch between targets very quickly and know when they're going to drop. But it also obstructs so much of your vision that half the time an enemy that was off in the distance running from one part of the map to the other, I would begin shooting at them, I would lose them in that bright red X, have no idea where they went, they would round the corner and take me out because I completely lost where they are. It's like, I get that you're trying to give information to the player, but why does it need to be in the middle of my screen and blocking half of my view? It is a terrible UI system. I did go look to see if I could turn off that particular function, but I clearly had no luck with it. And that also brings me to my next point, is that for this being a PC game, I think it was also on consoles, I think it was on the Xbox 360, but it is a PC title, there are hardly any graphical settings for you to tweak it to your computer. Like, you can change the resolution, you can change like the anti-aliasing, like you can turn it off and on, but essentially what you see is what you get. There are hardly any options here. And when I first started playing, this was one of the biggest disappointments of the game because I knew that this was made by Crytek, the guys that brought us the Crysis franchise, and so I assumed using the Cry engine that this was going to be an incredibly graphically intense free-to-play game. Like, I thought that that was going to be the thing that really set it apart from other free-to-play games. Like, they were just going to ramp up the graphical fidelity. It was going to be an amazing first-person shooter experience that a lot of free-to-play games don't have because they don't have the budget behind it or the engine behind it. But that is not the case. Like, as you guys can see here, it's muddy, there isn't a lot of color. Like, sure, they're decent, the graphics are all right, but they're nowhere near as powerful. The graphics are nowhere near the fidelity that you would see with like the Crysis 3 or the Crysis franchise. So that was also a massive disappointment. And so overall, if you can't tell, I've been disappointed with my playtime in Warface. Initially, a couple of years ago, I was really excited about this title, but now seeing where things have led, seeing the way that they've set up and designed their maps, their class system, their payment structure, and just the overall gameplay just being below average and nothing really spectacular, this is a free-to-play game that I would not spend your time on, and I would look somewhere else for your fun. That's about it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about Warface. Have you had a different experience? Am I completely off my rocker and you think it's the best free-to-play game out there? Let me know down below. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.